Hey guys, welcome back to AMCI Indie Spotlight. I'm your host, Amy Rose. This is a show we talk about all those incredible indie films that we love so very much. She's back from her journey, my sister from another mister, Alicia Malone.
Woohoo! Jet lag city, population me, but I'm excited to be back.
Can I join the population?
Yeah, you can be the population.
Yes.
You're going to go on a big trip soon. So
I am. And the wonderful resident hype man from Access Hollywood,
Hype.
Scott
It's all about the hype.
Mintz.
It's all about the energy. Great to be here on this very, very special AMCI.
It is a special AMCI. And the wonderful Jimmy O from JoBlo.com.
This is a very special episode.
Because
It
you
really
guys are
is.
here.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of
That's
course.
exactly what it is.
Exactly.
And I'm
exactly.
back.
Thank you for
And
bringing
you're
me
back, and population's expanding to
She's
4.
back.
She's
Yeah.
got a tan.
That's
Alicia Malone
awesome.
has a
I
tan.
know. You never thought you'd see the day.
Yeah.
I don't even think people can realize you're tan until they see how really pale I am. They're like, oh yeah, she's tan. Yes. All right, well, I'm armed with an amazing panel. My lady is back. Let's jump into some movie news. All right. The Cannes and Bentonville Film Festivals obviously kicked off a couple weeks ago in terms of Bentonville, and she just got back from Cannes. As you know, population of 1 from being jet lagged. I think you got in, late last night?
Yeah, I did. Really late last night and just slept.
Slept. So Bentonville, obviously Gina Davis launched this film festival, and it's dedicated to diversity and the empowerment of women and things we're very passionate about. Obviously, it was the first year, so that kind of comes with certain kinks. Things were really far apart. It's
Hard
just
to get to venues.
hard to get to. We literally remember when we got there the first day, we went to a screening, there were like 5 people in there. We're like, is this really a film festival?
Yeah,
Wow.
it's first year.
First year. But then we went to the kickoff ceremony that night, and there were hundreds and hundreds of people. We're like, where have you all been hiding? But, you know, what I loved so much about this festival and the potential is the heart. There was so much heart. Everyone who's there wants to be there. A lot of the other festivals are, you know, it's kind of so spread out. Like Sundance, I love it, but it's about the film. It's less about the heart than the amazing film and supporting art there.
Sure.
This one, it's like everyone you meet is just like there for the passion. So I really love that. What else did you really like about it?
I loved the amount of men who were there, because you think a film festival that is celebrating women and diversity, there wouldn't be many men, but there's a lot of great guys who are there supporting the cause. Plus, I liked the fact that what they're doing is the way they judged all the films were whether they involved minorities and whether they involved women in lead roles and behind the scenes. And they're going to use all the studies from picking the movies to create a new research about it and about how many films fall under those categories and how many films don't make it into those categories. So I think that's really interesting.
Really interesting.
So
and
this is a way for a film festival to really separate itself from the Cannes and the Sundances
Yeah.
and the
Yeah.
Torontos of the world.
exactly.
Oh,
That's
great.
exciting.
The
Yeah,
pulse
it's
was
really exciting,
intact, and like the people in Arkansas. I mean, it was definitely off the beaten path a bit.
They're so
and it's
polite.
so polite, and so really care about you, and like it was just the pulse, and just everyone was there because they love this industry and they want to help it and expand it, and you could feel that. And there's always going to be growing pains with first-time festivals, but Gina Davis, what she's done with her institute and partnering with all the amazing people that she has, I think this is going to be a really special festival to come. And we definitely saw a lot of great films and some interesting ones.
Yeah, some good documentaries we saw, and you were on a panel, which was exciting.
I was on a panel and about digital storytelling and like the head of DreamWorks and so many amazing people. I was very humbled by the company I was in, and it was just was really proud to represent AMC and just talk about the journey and how to get involved. Everyone always asks us that all the time, like, how do you get involved in this industry? Write a blog, start a video. You can start right now. It's really exciting. Just make something meaningful and people will gravitate towards it.
Exactly.
So, my dear, tell us a little bit about Cannes and maybe your top 3 favorite films you saw there.
Cannes was amazing, even though I got the spider bite, which got infected,
man.
which meant that one leg was twice the size of the other. I still had the best time ever. So I saw some really great films. My top 3, I'm actually going to save one of my top 3 for later on for our indie picks. So I'll put in my 4 into the 3, if that makes sense. So my favorite film that I saw was Sicario, and I snuck that in just before I had to go to the airport. This is from Denis Villeneuve, and it's another dark thriller. It feels like a companion piece to Prisoners. So it's very much of the Prisoner style instead of Enemy. And it's about a cop an FBI agent played by Emily Blunt. And she gets involved in a CIA squad to bring down a Mexican drug lord. And it's edge of your seat stuff. There's just no doubt that Denis is one of the best
I love
filmmakers
him.
working today. Roger Deakins did the cinematography, just looks beautiful and great characters. My other favorite was Carol by Todd Haynes, and this stars Rooney Mara as a young department store clerk who falls in love with an older married woman played by Cate Blanchett.
Aren't we all in love with her?
Set in the 50s,
Yes, we are,
yeah, so beautiful. Set in the 50s, everything looks like a photograph. It's also beautifully styled, but it's an emotional story as well. It sucks you into the story, and it's treated really nicely. This lesbian relationship is completely believable, and you see the love, and nothing's done for titillating value, which I loved. And then there's the documentary Amy,
Amy Winehouse.
Amy
yeah, I saw that
Winehouse
last
by Asif Kapadia.
Yeah.
Oh, you
I
really?
really,
Excellent.
Jealous.
I really enjoyed it. It's
Yeah.
a great portrait of an artist, and it mixes personal home videos with a lot of interview footage of Amy during her career, with concert footage from Amy Winehouse. You hear that powerful voice. And the thing that I liked about it was instead of interviewing all her family and friends on camera, you hear their voice. So they're just voiceovers over the top of images. And that just adds such a haunting quality, especially when they're talking about what could have been with Amy, or what they should have done, or what they might have done.
It's really heartbreaking.
Could they have saved her, or was she always on this self-destructive path? But from pain came great art, and it really reminded you of that.
Often does.
So those were my favourite picks. And just being in Cannes with people who celebrate cinema. I was reading a great description of it, which is it's the anti-Comic-Con. So Comic-Con, the stars go to
Which
Comic-Con.
speaks to you, doesn't it?
It speaks to me, yeah. The Comic-Con stars go
not your
to
jam.
promote their movies
Yeah.
and their big studio movies. They're ones that they sometimes might do it for them, but mainly for the studio. Can they only are representing films they've done for them and for their artistic creativity, because most of these films won't make any money at all. And you see such weird movies, but everyone talks about directors. Directors are the stars. Everybody loves going to see movies, and I had so much fun.
Carol's definitely going to be an Oscar contender, though.
Yeah.
It sounds
And
like
you mentioned
Weinstein.
Denis Villeneuve. He is directing the Blade Runner sequel, and it was just announced today that Roger Deakins,
Yeah.
who was the cinematographer
Ridiculous.
on
Yeah.
Carol or on
on everything
Sicario.
important.
he's doing cinematography on Blade Runner
Yeah.
sequel, which is makes me really happy.
Really
Yes, right?
Yeah.
He can do it. He can take, I think he can take a bad screenplay and make it at least beautiful. I mean, I even liked Unbroken just because it was
Oh, the
Deakins.
cinematography
I mean,
is
it was
stunning.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. So
And then you mentioned Amy, which screened here in West Hollywood last night.
I am
and
sad that I missed it.
It's
you'll
heartbreaking. I
love
mean,
it.
her talent is like incredible, but it's so sad that she couldn't handle the fame. She couldn't handle her demons. I mean, and just her talent just scratched the surface of the talent that could have been, as she could have evolved as an artist.
And there's
it's
so many. I mean, the 26 Club with Kurt
27,
Cobain and,
yeah,
and all of
27
the,
when she
you know,
died,
like
of
it's
alcohol poisoning.
it's just crazy.
Yeah.
All the talent, but you can feel it in her last album, the pain, and just amazing talent. But you know, Jimmy and I were so into music. I know you were too, Mr. Beatles, but like when you combine those two and you look at the artist process, and like you're saying, like those tapes, it's always the footage that gets me. Like the Kurt
Yeah.
Cobain documentary as well.
Oh, yeah.
It was the home videos and the footage that you're just like, oh, you should still be here creating something impactful. So you haven't seen it yet, but out of everything that we've talked about, what really stands out to you?
Everything you just said. I love Emily Blunt. I love
Yeah.
where her career is going. It's so exciting. She's a phenomenal actress, and that sounds amazing.
I love her.
Amy, I was never really into her, even when she passed.
I
And
wasn't either.
Yeah, but there's something about music and movies.
Yeah.
It really awakens maybe a part of you that you didn't know, or it helps you understand who they are.
Well, I think when you watch a documentary about a musician or a narrative film about a musician, when you get the body of work, when you see the evolution of the artist, like I saw Love and Mercy about Brian Wilson.
Oh, yeah.
Can't wait to see
Love.
that.
I loved it.
It is
Seeing it
fantastic.
tomorrow.
Yeah.
I loved
But
it.
you mentioned Carol, Todd Haynes.
Yeah, he's
he doesn't
spectacular.
make a lot of movies, but when you look at his body of work, Velvet Goldmine, Far From Heaven, I'm
Yeah.
Not There.
They're powerful.
Powerful, and it sounds like it has a lot of similarities to Far From Heaven, which came out 13 years ago, which is crazy. But that was a film that also dealt with sexuality, and it was like a Douglas Sirk movie. Every image was a snapshot or a picture because the cinematography was so gorgeous. I can't wait to see
I've
Carol.
been following that one for a while because Mia Wasikowska was supposed to star in Rooney Mara's role, and like they're both pretty much two of the best young talents out there right
Yeah,
now.
definitely.
So it's not like but Kate Blanchett, Armed with
Oh,
Anyone,
she's gorgeous.
and I heard it's just the most beautifully shot film. So
It is.
I'm so glad you had a good time, but I'm really happy you're back with me.
I missed you too much.
All right, moving right along. While discussing his most recent film, Slow West, Michael Fassbender was asked what it's like to take a risk and work with first-time directors. He stated, "Well, I think there's always a risk. Ridley Scott was a first-time director at one point. David Cronenberg, the same. I'm always interested in looking for new talent, and so you do take a risk, and sometimes it works, and sometimes it doesn't. For me, it's important to keep that connection to new talent that's coming through, as well as the talent that's already established." Jimmy, do you share my love for this Fassbender?
Oh my goodness. Well, the thing is, you look at some of the greatest directors, you look at Spielberg. My favorite film of his is Jaws. If you look at a lot of these guys, Scorsese, their early work is really brilliant. And you can't, if someone's never done a film before, you don't know what they have. You don't know the potential. And I think it's beautiful that a filmmaker or an actor is giving that attention and saying, yeah, see, this could be the next Ridley Scott. This could be the next Steven Spielberg or whoever, or David Cronenberg. I think it's exciting. I hope there's more of that kind of attitude, because I think there's a lot of great voices that we need to hear and we haven't heard yet.
Amen.
You talk about the earlier films of Spielberg and Scorsese, but also look at the early films of David Fincher, of Quentin Tarantino.
Yeah, absolutely.
Everyone starts from somewhere, and if their first film isn't a hit, like Alien 3 from Fincher wasn't a great movie, but then he did 7.
Yeah,
So you just got
absolutely.
to watch the work evolve. And when you have a filmmaker that's taking chances, even if he doesn't knock it out of the park the first time, the odds are he will the second time.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And when you have an actor like Michael Fassbender who's willing to work with these first timers, that's really important, because by lending his name, then that makes it easier for these directors to get their projects made. It makes it more likely that people will actually watch them. And I love an actor who takes risks. He does big studio films. He does little
everything.
short films.
Yeah.
He does independent films.
He
He
did
does
X-Men.
everything. Yeah,
Yeah.
westerns.
He sure did. And that's what I love
Shame
about
anybody?
him. And like, that's how it should be. As an actor, you follow the talent, you follow the project. It shouldn't matter the budget behind it. I'm sure it's fun to go back and forth and to have these big, crazy green screens in these studios with millions of dollars, and then to get to the heart and soul of what filmmaking is with these small, closed sets, with a handful of people all working because they believe so much in this project. Like, that's powerful. So
wanna
I
talk
love
about-
that he realizes that, and that he is able to follow the talent, because you never know where the next Scorsese is or Cronenberg. I mean,
Yeah.
she might be sitting here. You never know.
Well, she might be sitting. She is sitting.
Yeah, right there.
But also, you look at a filmmaker like Brett Haley, who just did "I'll See You in My Dreams." His first feature, shot it in 18 days, funded through Kickstarter, micro-budget movie. First time that 72-year-old Blythe Danner was in a lead performance, and to top that, where she's in every single scene of the movie.
Yeah.
She took a chance at the stage of her career with a first-time filmmaker, and the result is just one of the most profound movies, definitely the most profound movie I've seen so far this year.
Yeah.
And can I just say, power couple, Michael Fassbender and Alicia Vikander, who they're going out, and that is
I want
that's
to be
cool.
involved
My dream couple.
in that situation.
Isn't that
However,
amazing?
yeah, wow, yeah, she's kind of the it girl right now.
She has
All her
7 movies
projects,
coming out this
and
year.
Yeah.
and she's kind of easy on the eyes too.
Yeah.
So
A
great
little
job.
bit, a little
We like
bit. Yes, she
Alicia's,
is.
don't we?
We do.
I guess we'll keep him around. All right. Speaking of Scorsese, we heard murmurs a while ago of Martin Scorsese turning Kenneth Branagh's stage adaptation of Macbeth into a film, and now we have a bit more idea as to the shape that this project could take. The film is expected to be a documentary of sorts, following Branagh, who will prize his role as Macbeth, and his actors as they perform at the Leavesden for several weeks. Scott, do you like the sound of this project?
Love with a capital L, because you have Scorsese, who's made documentaries, most of them on music, like The Last Waltz, and they did the documentaries on George Harrison, on the Rolling Stones, on Bob Dylan. Then you have Kenneth Branagh, who directed 4 features based on Shakespeare, Much Ado About Nothing, Henry V, Love's Labour's Lost, and As You Like It. So put them together. I mean, what's not to love about it? I mean, the result could be something close to what we saw in Birdman, which was very docu style behind the scenes of a making of a stage play. But I'm there.
I'm so there as well. I mean, Branagh's a true thespian. Like, he really is. He's so theatrical, and you just really understands this. And Macbeth is one of the classics.
And he's in his comfort zone with Shakespeare.
He is.
I mean, his best work has been.
And who's in their comfort zone with Shakespeare? I mean, that says a lot
Jack
about
Reacher
you.
didn't do it for him.
Jack Reacher did not do it for him, but he certainly tried. But Scorsese, I just think this is just so, it's just refreshing to see him tackle something like this. I mean, he's a master of his craft. He shows us time and time again. And, you know, Goodfellas will always be in my heart and soul forever.
Yep,
but
number
even
one.
his early work, I mean, he's a master. He's one of the greats. And to combine the two of them together and do it kind of very meta and like, it just sounds really exciting to me. I think a lot of people might have preferred it to be a feature film of sorts. But I just think this is, again, the artistic process is so fascinating to me. And this is going to go behind, especially Macbeth, where it's very political, it's very intense.
Cursed play as well.
Yeah,
I mean, there's
the
all
Scottish
those,
play. You can't
the
say it when
Scottish
you're doing
plays,
it.
Yeah,
You
you're not
cannot
allowed to
say
say
it.
the title. There's
No.
a big curse around it. I'm fascinated by this. I'm really interested in the behind the scenes of stage play. It's a world that is far removed from mine. So I'd love to see someone like Kenneth Branagh preparing, how he prepares for the role. And I think it's smart to go this direction because we're about to see Justin Kurzel's version of Macbeth with Fassbender and Marion Cotillard. So I think
Fassbender's
this is gonna
everywhere,
do-
huh?
You know,
Can't get away from him.
You wouldn't want to have too many Macbeths out there, even though it's a play that's been done over and over again. I think this will be a new spin, a new way to look at it.
I'm beyond excited for this. I'm in love with Shakespeare. I love everything. I've done Shakespeare. I've seen it. I just adore it. I almost every film I have to see. So this is exciting, and I think Branagh is one of the best at it. Period. Next to maybe Laurence Olivier. I really do.
Big words.
Yeah, no, I really do. I think he is that good.
Bold statement.
I'm beyond stoked for this, especially having Marty and him together doing this, the Scottish play.
Marty.
I can't wait.
And I love that
will you
Martin
recite?
Scorsese is still taking chances. At
I
this
know.
stage.
Yes, right?
I really appreciate that. And
Oh,
something
yeah.
so out of the box
But
for him.
I
Will you
think you
recite some
said-
Macbeth for us?
Huh?
Or some
Oh
Shakespeare?
gosh, no.
Oh,
I'm totally
you got me
embarrassed.
excited.
Out, I say.
That's good. That's
Angels
good.
and ministers of grace defend us.
All right.
Okay, here you go.
Classing up the joint.
What light through yonder window breaks? It is
Wow.
the east, and
And
Juliet
Juliet
is the
is the
sun.
sun.
Arise,
Plays
son.
the thing.
Do you know that from
Wherein
the
I'll
Leo
catch the
DiCaprio
conscience
film?
of-
No,
Okay, good.
Zeffirelli, man.
Okay,
Zeffirelli.
good. I'm very happy about that. That was a test. All right, guys, this is the right transition to go into our in-theaters roundup section. As you know, a lot of these films come and go very quickly, so we want to make these indie gems as accessible for you to catch as possible. So I'm going to run down the films releasing this Friday or expanding, or some of them are on their last run, so get in there while you can. Starting with Aloft. This one revolves around a mother played by Jennifer Connelly and her son played by Cillian Murphy, who get torn apart by an accident. 20 years later, a young journalist played by Melanie Laurent will create an encounter that reunites them, which puts the meaning of life and art into question. Next, we have Chronicles of Evil, a film out of South Korea about a policeman who is about to get promoted. He kills a robber in a case of self-defense, but decides to cover up the crime. To his surprise, somebody has seen him and starts an evil game with the policeman. Then we have Far From Madding Crowd. This one expanded this week, finally. It's the period piece starring the lovely Carey Mulligan as the headstrong Miss Everding, with 3 different suitors competing for her attention. It co-stars Matthias Schoenaerts and Michael Sheen. Then we have True Story. This is the last week it's playing. It's a psychological drama starring Jonah Hill and James Franco in very different roles than we've seen them play. And then this is also the last week for Noah Baumbach's While We're Young. This one stars Naomi Watts and Ben Stiller as a couple trying to stay connected to their youth, as nourished by Adam Driver and Amanda Seyfried. So, Sir Jimmy, you've now earned the knighthood.
I'm excited for Aloft. I love every single one in that film, and I think it sounds like a really intriguing idea. I think Jennifer Connelly is amazing. She's just you can't take your eyes
She's
off of her,
magnetic,
and Melanie Laurent, the same thing. So I'm pretty much stoked for that movie. I haven't gotten to see it yet in New York. Seriously, Come on.
It'll expand. It'll expand.
I know. Not
It's
soon
on
enough.
demand. I don't know.
Oh, that's true, right? I
Melanie
may watch.
Laurent,
Yeah.
I want more of her. She's so
Right?
spectacular. And Glorious Bastards, even Now You
Oh,
See
she's
Me, when
great.
she's on screen, she also has that magnetic quality. And so is Cillian Murphy.
Yes.
So the three of them together should really be
Great
powerhouse. The premise sounds really interesting, light and art. It sounds very deep. So I'm also with you there. I think
I
that
dig the
sounds great.
poster too. I don't know why. I think it's. I
It's
like that
subtle,
poster.
it's-
Haunting.
Yeah.
Yes.
Beautiful pastels. What about you, Scott?
Well, if you haven't seen While We're Young, that's the one you should try to see. I mean, it's going to be out on Blu-ray and it's going to be on demand soon anyway, but I feel like it's one of the better movies of the year. Even though it kind of lost its way in the last half hour, I still felt like it was a great statement on what it's like to be in your mid-40s and to realize just it could hit you like a ton of bricks that you are not young anymore. And yeah, okay, so maybe I related to this movie just a little bit. You know,
Little bit?
wait a minute. I mean, like it hit me like a freaking ton of bricks. I swear to God. You know, just that realization where you're not old and I'm not old, but I'm not young either. And you're trying to hold on to your youth and Ben
What, you
Stiller.
25?
What's that?
What are you 25?
Oh, bless your freaking big heart, sir. You're only as old as you feel. So yeah, 25 sounds just
Looking
about
good,
right.
Mancy.
But I'm telling you, just that sense of that midlife crisis when you realize that you're not young anymore and you're trying to hold on to your youth. And, you know, it's being your 40s is tough. They don't prepare you for this sort of thing. But you see a movie like While We're Young and Noah Baumbach, who did Squid and the Whale and Francis Ha, he has a Woody Allen-esque quality to it.
very
And
much
it really hit the nail on the head for 2/3 of it. The last part kind of went off the rails, but I still like it.
Yeah, and his sensibilities of characters, they're just like, it's very grounded. He has whimsical essence to it, but
Yeah.
it's still grounded. These characters feel like they're real and they're really going through these struggles.
Well, what was
and
that line that Ben
chemistry.
Stiller has in the movie? He goes, he's talking to his friend. He goes, you know, those things that you think are going to happen to you when you get older and they're happening to you now? And I'm going like, holy crap. Yes. But hey, I'm 25. Give it up for 25. Give it up for, come on.
Leash?
Yes. Leash Malone. Yes.
I echo your statements on While We're Young. And even though I'm not in my 40s, I still related to it. That's what Noah Baumbach does, really relatable characters. I still haven't seen Far From the Maddening Crowd, so I'm going to go and see it this weekend and check that one out.
Yeah, it's
I
good.
really
been
want to
hearing
see
good
Far
things.
From Madding Crowd. That cast is amazing. Carey
hear a movie
Mulligan.
date.
Movie date. She was doing the Razor Rift too, you guys. I know you could only see me there, but don't worry. But yeah, Carey Mulligan, I mean, she is a timeless beauty. Like, she feels like she belongs to that decade.
She's a real
and,
actor.
and I just love it. It sounds really empowering. And Matthias, I mean, he's a great
everywhere
actor.
right now.
He deserves to be.
Had about 2 or 3 movies in Cannes.
Yeah. And he's not just the sidelines character anymore. People are really noticing him, and Michael Sheen is always spectacular. So I'm really excited about that too.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So we've taken a couple weeks break from our amazing short film submission because, you know, Cannes, Bentonville, crazy stuff.
Busy.
So we are back in action, and I would like to give props to our winner this week. Count to 10. Yay!
Hooray.
So this was directed and co-produced by Vincent Mascali. Sorry if I butchered your name. Written by Bob Perkins and Ryan Scott Self, and also co-produced by Luke Barnett. So this one is super fun. True to my horror-loving heart. So Jimmy, I know you're in. And basically the
fully.
premise is kind of Babadooky in the sense that it's this little boy and he's hearing things in the closet and he's scared. And so his mom comes in and she's like, you know, I'm going to teach you a trick. If you just count to 10, everything's going to go away. And I'm not going to tell you the kicker in the end, why I loved it so much. But what I love, you know, we've seen another one of this team's films, and they were actually our winner a couple months ago. And they just have so much talent. The thing I love about their work is that, you know, these are 5 to 8 minute films. They're concise, and their plot is very simple and perfectly executed. The lighting, the sound, the structure, the acting, it's all top notch. So I'm really impressed with you guys, and I'm really happy to present you with 2 movie tickets this week for your efforts. Leash, what did you like
Yay.
about Count to 10?
Yeah, it was scary. It was.
It
really
was. I made her
scary.
watch it.
I know.
you hate scary movies.
I hate scary movies, but it was so effective. I mean, they did so much with so little, and as you said, it was only about 5 minutes long, and it told an entire story, and it had a twist and something that you didn't expect would happen, and everything looked great. Cinematography, acting, it was all on point, so it was a worthy winner.
Really worthy winner. So congrats. And then our runner-up is Ambition. Yay!
Yay, Ambition.
Written, directed, and the cinematography was done by Daniel Sesisto. This one is basically about a family, and they all have these ambitions. As you can see, the son wants to be an amazing drummer. Definitely felt reminiscent of Whiplash. And there was a Damien Chazelle reference in
There
the
was a
film,
little Easter egg in
which
there.
was pretty
Yeah,
cute.
that's cool.
You know, the mom has dreams of being an artist, and the dad wants to be like a race car driver. And so it kind of goes back. It was reminiscent of 500 Days with expectations versus reality.
Oh, right,
This
yeah.
was ambition versus reality. And so I thought it was a really clever concept, and definitely looking forward to seeing more from you.
Yeah, I liked the concept. I liked what it said about going for your dreams, and then sometimes if you don't achieve your dreams, that's okay. And having the flash forwards or flashbacks or dream sequences about their ambitions and goals. And I loved the little Whiplash references. I mean, you could see in that still photo.
It looked like Miles Teller.
Yeah, it looked
Yeah.
like
It did.
Whiplash.
Yeah.
It was great.
Good.
I know you like Whiplash.
I love Whiplash.
Who doesn't?
Whiplash is amazing.
Not my tempo.
Not my
Yeah.
tempo. But yeah, it's really great. And I'm really honored to be a part of this process. There's so much talent out there, and it's so cool to see your short film submissions every week. So if you have one for us, send it to amciindie@gmail.com. And I just feel like all these aspiring filmmakers out there, simple is sometimes better. We have so much to say as artists a lot of the times that you want to cram as much as you can. But when you're first starting out, simple is better. And we'll definitely make Count to 10 available so you can see what I mean. Well played, guys. All right, on to my favorite segment, Indie Picks. It is so much fun to have a different topic and different amazing panelists every week to kind of shine a light on indies we might have not seen for a while, or maybe some you've never seen. So I chose this week unconventional rom-coms. As you've seen probably a couple times, I don't like your typical rom-com, but I like but I am romantic and I am a lover, but I just don't like the paint by numbers. It's cheesy and I'm
You
not
don't
a
like when
fan.
it's conventional. You want,
don't.
You like movies that take chances.
Little more quirk, little risk taker. That's
Yeah.
me. So with that in mind, Scott, let's start with you. What's your indie pick of the week?
Well, I don't know if it qualifies as a romantic comedy, even though there is humor in it, but I love Lost in Translation.
Yeah.
2003, directed by Sofia Coppola. She won the Oscar for this movie. It lost to Best Picture with Return of the King, but it did win Best Original Screenplay. So kudos to Sofia Coppola. But what I love about it is just, first of all, the atmosphere of the film, the way that you really feel jet lagged, which you could probably relate to right
Yeah.
now. But that
Dang.
sensation that Bill Murray's character is just completely out of his element, and you know he's having trouble back home, and he connects with Scarlett Johansson, who's just newly married. They're both dealing with existential issues, but they connect for one moment. They really, really connect, and doesn't matter how old or young that they are, but they just have this connection, and it's really, really beautiful, and it's so moving. I could watch this movie over and over again, and I have.
Still one of her best directed
It's still
films to date.
definitely
Yeah,
Lost in
I agree.
Translation. Excellent
Yeah.
film.
Well played. Jimmy?
Well, mine is a unique little one. It's called Sliding Doors.
I
Oh,
love
I
it.
love that movie.
Gwyneth.
Love this.
Oh, I
movie.
love that
It's-
movie.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's funny because Gwyneth kind of has I don't
Disappeared a
necessarily-
bit,
Yeah,
right?
a little disappeared.
Pepper
But
Potts.
this movie is so fantastic. This woman misses a train. And her life changes, but it shows two different sides of this. How if she had done this, she'd gotten on the train, it would end up like this. If she didn't, it would end up like this. Beautiful.
It's
story.
a beautiful movie. It's really ingenious the way
I love it.
that the movie jumps back and forth
Yeah.
between
Yeah.
one and the
Structure.
other. It never gets confusing.
seamlessly.
No,
Seamlessly.
yeah.
Seamless, and the way it wraps it up at the end. It's a beautiful movie.
Yes.
I love
Yeah,
that movie.
love
I
that
do
She's
film.
in
too.
top form because she pretty much plays two people.
Yeah,
and
I think it's maybe
it's inventive.
arguably
I
her
wanna
best
say
performance.
1998.
It's great.
I wanna say
I would
1998.
never argue dates with this
1998,
guy.
fact check me on that.
You
No,
are
I
a
think you're right.
computer.
I think
Man's
you're right.
the computer. But sliding doors, that's a really good one. And that's
Yeah.
something I think a lot of us think about. What if I went through this door? What if I made that decision? What if I was
Yeah.
10 minutes earlier? And we can't live that way. We
Yeah.
have to live in the now and you have to be present. But it is very interesting to see all the decisions that lead you to this path.
We all
so
make
it's
it. We all
fascinating.
think about what if I had
What
done
if?
this? What if I had made
Yeah.
this
Like
decision? How
the
would it change my
Two
life?
paths converge in the woods.
Yeah.
you know, which one will
Absolutely.
you take?
Beautifully told. Beautifully told.
So, my love.
So the film that I'm choosing is actually one of my top 3 films from Cannes. It's called The Lobster, and it's by Yorgos Lanthimos. I think I said that right. He's a Greek filmmaker. You might have seen Dogtooth, which was one of his movies. This is really hilarious and bizarre. It stars Colin Farrell, and it's set in this near-future world where everyone has to be in a couple. If, say, you're married and your wife dies, that's what happens with Colin Farrell's character right at the start, you have to go to this hotel and you have a certain number of days when you can find, in order to find another partner from the hotel. If you don't find another partner within those days, you get turned into an animal.
So
And you
great.
get to
So he gets
pick-
turned into a lobster?
So
well, you get
obscure.
to pick your animal that you want to get chosen into. And
Wow.
he says, I want to turn into a lobster because lobsters live for a long time.
That would not be my first choice.
It's very quirky,
Oh wow!
but it's funny, so funny, straight-faced humor. It's also got Rachel Weisz in there, Leah Sado, Ben Whishaw, John C. Reilly, and a bunch of
Wow.
people you recognize. Just so creative and inventive.
And
It
different.
takes a
Yeah.
twist halfway through, and it has a lot to say about today's society and how people think it's so horrible if you're single, if you're by yourself, that you should be cast out into the woods, which is what happens to some of the characters. So it's really funny. I
I'm
recommend
jealous
it.
of all the movies you saw.
Yeah.
These
Yeah.
are amazing.
Saw some
I think a lot
movies.
of people will be talking about
Yeah.
The Lobster when
I
it finally
can't
comes
wait.
out.
Yeah, I can't wait. September, I
great
think it opens
and
here.
so quirky, and I love that concept. I mean, it terrifies me.
Yeah.
but I love that concept.
It's like a dark Wes Anderson, Woody Allen type feel.
Yeah.
With the way they
Nice.
speak and the way they present the dialogue.
Does it ever go like full lobster, like Tusk
Don't
style?
tell us. No. Don't. Oh my God, you have to bring up Tusk.
Never
No.
go
That
full
is
walrus.
Awful.
It doesn't go tusk,
did I
don't
hate
worry.
I'm like, does it go straight horror? That'd be like, it's all rom com, and then boom.
No.
All right, bummer. Okay, well, mine is Kissing Jessica Stein.
I
Yay.
almost picked that movie.
Stop
I
it.
swear
We're
to
so
God.
connected.
2002.
So you're right about that. So Jennifer Westfield stars in this one and wrote this film, and it's a definite unconventional rom-com. So she's basically 30-something, getting really discouraged with the dating scene, and she sees this amazing personal ad, and then the one little kicker is that it's a woman seeking a woman, and she's straight to this point. And so she decided, what the hell? I'm going to go meet this amazing, well-written person, you know, and goes and has this little romance. And it's just like, it's so cute. She like tries to like jump into the world. She's like, okay, let's kiss now. Like, it's just like, she's so shy about it. And it's so awkward and charming and endearing. And it's really unconventional. And it's just kind of about searching for love and identity at whatever cost and kind of finding yourself in the process. So it's really well executed. I have like chills because it's so cute.
Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah, it is a
charming.
great
Very
movie.
charming
It's
and different.
very sweet.
And different. Yeah,
And
really
wasn't
unique.
John Hamm in that movie
Yes.
too? Yeah, because he's
And they're together.
together still.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
I
awesome.
love them.
Yeah.
So great picks, guys. Thank
Yeah,
you.
good stuff.
All right, moving on to our mailbag portion of our show. If you have a question for us, go ahead and send it to amciindy@gmail.com, and we might answer yours right here. Our first one comes from Tony Torres, who wrote, "Hey, sisters and brothers of AMCI. I absolutely love your show, and I always look forward to the indie picks. My question is, have any of you ever suggested movies to people that would help them better understand and relate to you? Like, do you have any movies that help illustrate your philosophies on life, your sense of humor, or even complicated characters you relate to? If so, which indie movies resonate the most with you at the core? Thank you for all your hard work, suggestions, and relentless charm. Cheers, love you all, and bring on the indie." Tony, you are a class act, and we really love you.
Yeah.
This question is so spectacular.
It's amazing.
It really
I love
is.
this question.
It's really good. And I think that's why so many of us love indies, because they do speak to our core. They do talk about real life and humanity and situations. And I get a lot of that from documentaries and some old films, but I chose to focus, at least for this question, on more recent films just to make them a bit more accessible for you. So I have different aspects of my humanity and the first couple that I thought about, Laggies, we talked about this a couple months ago.
remember that. It's a
It's
good one.
like, it's a good one, and it kind of speaks to where Alicia and I are at. All our friends are getting married and having babies, and she just wants to kind of escape from that and from like the societal pressures of when that's supposed to happen, and just still like enjoy life and not have these crazy pressures. So I thought, what's her face? Kira was so good in it.
Keira Knightley.
And I love Lynn Shelton's work. She's really, really
Although
good.
the minute Sam Rockwell opens the door
It's
into
his
the
movie.
bedroom, as soon as it is his movie. I
love you,
But as
Rockwell.
soon as he opens the door, I'm like, I know where this is going.
Yeah.
Do you blame her? It's Sam
I
Rockwell.
mean, he walks in the door, I'm like, okay.
I love him.
He's kind of awesome.
They had good chemistry, but he was great. But I think that's real,
Yeah,
you know. So
it is, definitely.
another one more recently was Wild. You know, after tragedy, it really affects people in so many different ways. Some people want complete isolation, some want to go on an adventure, some want to completely escape. So I think that reaches a lot of people who've experienced a lot of tragedy in their life. Garden State was another big one, wanting to feel alive without the confines of what's again expected of you, and kind of losing your way, but finding it through a connection with someone. It's kind of like what you're talking about with your film about connection at any age, you know, with Lost
Yep.
in Translation.
Yep.
Like, we can't explain chemistry. It's there or it's not. In life, in love, that's why I love this girl so much. Because it's just, it's there, it's not. And that's, you know, a real connection can wake you up from that paralyzed state you're in and just give you a reinvigorated sense of life and belonging, which is really beautiful. And then Whiplash. Whiplash, wanting something so bad that you're willing to bleed and cry and just push yourself beyond all limitations and expectations. That is something I really identify with. I've always been a risk taker. I've always led with my heart and with passion, and I'm willing to stand on the mountain alone if I believe in something and fight for it to the end of time. So those are different aspects of me. There's like a billion more, but I chose to focus just on that. So Leash, what about you? What are some that you connect to?
Well, I'd say one that would, I think, sum me up would be Amelie, because I feel very, very much like that character. Just want to help people, maybe a little bit quirky, a little bit shy. And when I saw that film, I was like, that just reminds me of me so much, and looking for love. And,
Audrey is so
and
amazing.
Audrey is beautiful. And the way she watches a movie like this, like that's like me too. So I would say Amelie. Some people might say Election, because people see a bit of Tracy Flick in me when I get ambitious.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I
You get focused.
I get focused.
Get out of your way.
Rightfully
Tracy
less
Flick.
annoyed. Yeah,
What about
less
you?
annoying.
You know, I have a little love story. When I met my wife, one of my favorite movies was Heathers.
Oh, wow.
And I said, you
Good one.
have to see Heathers. It's a great movie. This was kind of me in high school a little bit. I was nuts, and I was quirky, and I was a little bizarre. And she saw it, and everyone thought I was nuts. A lot of people hated that movie. I
love
don't know
it.
why.
How do you hate
Yes,
that movie? It's
I
a
don't know. They
classic.
were nuts. And I told Vanessa, and she was like, she watched it, and she's like, yeah, that's you. That-
How do you
Heather's-
take that?
I was very flattered because
Yeah.
I didn't hurt anybody. I didn't try and
Did you
plant
play
anything.
croquet?
Yeah.
I did not do that, but I knew what girls like the Heathers. I knew a few of those.
I
Oh, really?
love that movie.
I adore that
Heather.
movie. So yeah, that was my pick.
My answers aren't as in depth as yours or yours or yours. I just sort of went with movies that affected me at different stages of my life. Like when I was in high school, I wanted to be Ferris Bueller, but I was more like Anthony Michael Hall from Breakfast Club. I mean, it's a fact.
That's pretty personal, Scott. What do you
I
mean?
And then I just sort of advanced, and then I saw Say Anything,
Yeah.
and
Oh,
that was a
yeah.
movie that I definitely still relate to.
Yeah.
I mean, just it's such a mature film, but just sort of being sort of a social misfit when
So
you're
good.
growing up. You know, you have your friends, but you're still like the odd man out because you have your passions that don't fit in with anyone else. So I definitely related to Lloyd Dobler a lot. John Cusack's character in that movie, which I just saw
I think
again
every
recently.
guy does.
What's that?
Every guy relates to
Yeah,
Lloyd.
but bingo.
Yeah,
But and then just moving on a
Yeah.
little bit further, Swingers from 1996. I was absolutely Mikey. I actually had an answer machine moment where I kept calling back, being like, "I'm sorry, can you just delete that last minute?" Like I saw that movie, it was so
Wow.
painful, and then I saw The 40-Year-Old Virgin, and I was like, everyone was like, "Oh my God, Mance, that's you," and I'm like, "Wait a minute, I'm not
I'm not
40."
a virgin.
You get it? You come on, give it up. You know, but then a movie like Jerry Maguire, I'm into the Cameron Crowe thing right now.
Yeah.
And
You really are. I like
yeah,
that.
I like Cameron Crowe. His movies have magic to them.
I do.
But then you watch a movie like Close Encounters, which is a movie that hits me on so many levels. So it just sort of depends. But
Don't forget
those,
Singles, by the way. Singles was really good.
Yes, it was. And listen, that movie came out in '92, September of
Yeah.
'92, September 12th, and that hit me. You know, I was new to
I
LA.
think you bared your soul, Anthony Michael Hall. I'm pretty sure you
Yeah.
did.
Yes.
It's a good question.
There you go.
It's
That is a good
question.
question.
And for all of us, film is so personal. So it hits a lot of deep points. So thanks for
Absolutely.
submitting.
Fantastic question.
Yeah.
Seriously.
All right, so our next one comes from Eric Ariola, who wrote, "What's up, guys and gals? Big fan of the show and love the fact that there's a show from a huge company showcasing smaller films.
Yay.
My question is, since some of the guests you get are in the biz, what existing film is one you wish you made? One of mine would be Compliance or Killer Joe. Great
Dark
picks.
person.
Great
Rick.
picks. That speaks to us.
I love
Compliance.
both those movies.
I mean, I could list off a trillion different films, but one that hit on every level recently for me was Nightcrawler. Dan Gilroy writing his directorial debut. It was really topical, really terrifying, just about media and feeding it. Like, he was a product of media, of the haunting, deranged madness of media, and constantly rewarding him for that. And I think in this world, so many people are lost. Look at poor Amy Winehouse. Fame and just like all of that is just, it just explodes in media, and it really destroys a lot of people, and it also elevates these anti-heroes. So I loved that film. Ex Machina just came out. Sci-fi hits me on so many levels. Another Earth is another one where I feel like
I
when
loved
you
Another Earth. Yeah,
talk
it's a good
about
one.
these really
Marley.
deep concepts and you execute them so beautifully, and like sci-fi is terrifying, especially Ex Machina. Garland is so brilliant. Another directorial debut from a very established writer, but it just, there's nothing I would have changed about that film, and it makes you think, it sticks with you, and like sci-fi is terrifying because it's where we're going. AI, like, they probably will take over us soon enough.
And that's been done
it's
a lot.
terrifying, but
You know, they
it's
keep
so
coming
well
back to that.
executed.
They keep coming back to what AI is going. You know, we're creating these things that are going to take over us. But I digress. But no, these
Yeah.
are all great choices.
And my last one was Take Shelter, Jeff Nichols.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
I thought that
Michael
was
Shannon.
another every hit, amazing acting, psychological, beautiful, everything. So that, again, I would have made like a 50 film list, but I'm going to
Yeah.
keep it short. Leash.
Any filmmaker who is incredibly creative, I don't possess that brain, so I get jealous of that. Like Michelle Gondry, seeing Science of Sleep or Eternal Sunshine, Spotless Mind. I can't fathom how you come up with that. Spike Jonze with Being John Malkovich.
Yeah.
I wish I had the brain to come up with that concept. It's so quirky and funny and weird, but pulls it off so perfectly. And then Jean-Pierre Jeunet, who's the guy that did Amelie, because of the way it was shot, and it was so beautiful. So anything quirky and weird and creative, I'm like, I wish I could, but I can't. The brain's not made that way.
I disagree. I think your brain's definitely that way.
Yeah, don't sell
Scott?
yourself short. Mine, you know, I didn't go as deep as you. I mean,
Stop saying that. You're very deep.
But yeah, you know, but you know, you went for filmmakers that you really, really admire. I went with a film that I related to, one that I really, when I saw it, I just went, good God, that's another one that could have fit into the last question. 1999's Galaxy Quest, which is a film about washed up actors from an old classic sci-fi show that could be Star Trek.
Never give
And
up.
now-
Never surrender.
Who are now making their living doing these conventions, and then they get taken to outer space on a real spaceship like the one that did it on TV. But you know, I love the heart of the movie. It really nailed the genre. You know, it was fun. It had a huge heart, and in the end, the fans saved the day. And I just felt like, boy, I remember when I saw the film, I'm like, I could have written this damn thing. Why didn't I?
Yeah.
But yeah,
There's
that's the
still
one I'm going
time,
with.
right,
Still
Samantha?
time. Yeah.
I kind of went with your lead. I went with the director, and I didn't wear a shirt. that
Yay.
I would have loved to have made 2 David Lynch films. I would love to have made Blue Velvet and Wild at Heart.
Yes.
Wild at Heart.
2 of my favorite. Wild at Heart is just this magical, messed up. I can't swear, so I'm not going to say that word. But it's just this trip that I can't even imagine where he came up with that stuff, and it's just beautiful. Blue Velvet, I think, is one of the best films.
It's a
ever
masterpiece.
Made. It is
It
a
really is a
masterpiece.
masterpiece.
growing up in the suburbs, you kind of realize, you think about all the nightmares that
Where
are
you from?
hidden. I grew up in Utah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. And there are a lot of nightmares in Utah. In the underbelly of suburbia is kind of frightening.
It is.
And I think it's a fascinating to lift that veil and find out what's underneath.
I just thought of Halloween too,
Yes.
right from that, because it's like that has spawned so many people trying to recreate the magic of Michael Myers and all of that, and like
Magic?
horror. Are you kidding? Hell yeah.
Yeah. Well, magic.
Halloween is one
Scary
of the most
magic.
classic horror
It's a-
films of all time.
It's
That's
definitely
magical,
serious.
man.
That is
man.
definitely a
See?
Perfect.
Yeah, it's
I,
perfect.
I knew you'd
Absolutely.
have my back.
Absolutely.
Jimmy.
Yeah, well, I love that movie.
I think that costs like $100,000 to make.
Yeah,
And
most
it
people
was
don't realize it was an indie.
It
For
was
the
an
independent film.
longest time, it was the most successful indie ever made.
And people just can't get that formula down. It's just like,
Every
it's
year,
exhausting.
it follows almost.
It follows was
yeah,
pretty
it was
spectacular,
good.
yeah.
Pretty spectacular.
All right, guys. So before we end our wonderful show, I don't know if you've seen the announcement yet on Movie Talk or on social channels, but I have resigned at AMC. I love you guys.
Bogus.
But it's for a really good reason. You know, I've spent the last decade supporting art, working at Warner Brothers and IGN and here, and it's been such a blessing, but I want to create my own.
Yay.
I have a lot
Yay.
to say. I'm going to direct, I'm going to produce, I'm going to write. And I'm launching a company called Radiant Jane Productions, and I really want to make impactful and meaningful film. You know, I've been through a lot in my young life. We all have, and some don't articulate it. Like, I want to articulate it well, and I don't want to let fear overcome me and the question of if I could do it overcome me. So I'm going to jump headfirst, and I'm going to make something meaningful, and I'm really excited to share it with all of you.
Well,
but
we'll
I'm
be
gonna
talking
miss
about
you.
it here on AMC.
Yes.
Yes.
Exactly.
So thank you for all your support. You guys seriously have been so amazing. If you haven't noticed, we're finally on the main channel. Of course, it happens when I leave. Coincidence? I don't think so. Just kidding.
No.
But, you know, we are movie fans to the core. And, you know, for me personally, I love indies. I love mainstream. I love it all. So we want to make it accessible to you. We want to be able to show you all this different content, all these different amazing films going on. So thanks for all your support and love. It truly means the world to us.
Well, we're going to miss you a
gonna miss
lot.
you big
I'm going to
time.
save all my words for next week.
For
'cause
our
next
last
week's gonna be our
AMCI
last one.
show.
Well,
So
thanks for
sad.
having
But-
us on to your second to the last
Second to
AMC.
Yes,
So.
but very proud of you. I think that's the most courageous thing you can do is go after your dreams.
Thank
Very
you, my
excited
love.
for you. Yeah.
Well, I would like to thank my sister from another mister, Alicia Malone.
Thanks so much. It was nice to be on your second to last show. Can't wait for next week. And you guys can find me on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook at Alicia Malone. I'm sticking around.
The wonderful
Yay.
Scott Mantz.
Well, you can find me on Twitter at Movie Mance, Instagram at The Movie Mance, on Facebook at Movie Mance. I'm on Access Hollywood reviewing movies,
Movie
and I
Mance.
co-host Profiles
Yeah.
with Malone and Mance with this one over here.
Is your last name Mantz?
It's Mance.
I had a
We do a
feeling.
lot with that name.
I wasn't sure about that. And the wonderful Jimmy O.
Of course, JoeBlow.com, Arrow in the Head, Jimmy to the O on Twitter. I think I'm on Instagram, Jimmy to the O. I don't know what I am.
You never know.
James Oster on Facebook and all those fun things.
Love
So.
it. And I'm Amy Rose with AMC Movie News for a little while longer. You can find me at Amy Rosie on the various social channels. Like, subscribe, share. You know the deal. Really appreciate your support. And I'll see you next week for my last AMCI.
Bye.
Bye.